Hello and welcome to India Tonight. I'm Shubhani Garath and joining me in the studio is my colleague Jude Sanid. And Jude, for the last few days, one issue has dominated the national headlines. Protest over NEET paper leak issue. With the protests intensifying and taking dramatic turn by the day, government has been forced to take note. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has assured that fast-track courts will be set up to ensure swift justice and stringent punishment to the perpetrators of the paper leak. But is this assurance enough, Jude?
Absolutely. That's a very fair question to ask, Shubhani, because the fact is that even as we speak, this assurance is in fact not cutting any ice with CJP protesters who continue to stage demonstrations at Jantar Mantar. In fact, these protesters say that nothing but Dharmendra Pradhan's resignation will be enough for them to end the protest. And jumping into the protest bandwagon are opposition MPs who are now marching towards Gandhi, towards the parliament itself. Let's listen in to what Rahul Gandhi said while leading the protest march.
जो हमारे स्टूडेंट्स हैं वो सड़क पे हैं तो सारे के सारे ऑपोजिशन एमपीज को लगा कि हमें भी सड़क पे होना चाहिए तो हम चाहते थे कि सारे के सारे ऑपोजिशन एमपीज इंडिया गेट जाएं उन्होंने मना कर दिया.
Now, government has made a fresh proposal for talks with the delegation of CJP. Listen in to what MOSPMO Jitendra Singh had to say.
To the media, it is my humble appeal to the students on agitation that the government is ready for talks whenever you want, at whichever hour of the day, and for as much length of time that you wish to. We are ready to discuss the issue on which the agitation has happened and all the other related issues as well, with an open mind, and the talks can be held at the residence of Shri Nadda because the talks will be led by the Health Minister of India and the senior leader Shri Nadda ji, and of course I will be accompanying him. The talks could be held at Shri Nadda ji's residence or at an office, whichever of the two you wish to, because you appreciate as much as I do that without talks, without dialogue, we cannot find a solution. And without a solution, we would not be able to lay down the further roadmap.
Well, the Delhi deadlock, in a sense, continues then, even as the government, it seems, has made some attempt to reach out to the students, saying that they are ever willing to have those talks. So to join us now and discuss the goings-on of the day, including where this might in all likelihood go from here, is a panel of guests. I'm joined by Dr. Lakshmi Ashwin Gowda, BJP spokesperson, as am I joined by Meeta Sen Gupta, Educational Strategy and Policy Advisor. Syed Asad Abbas, political analyst, also joins us on the bulletin today. Let me start with Dr. Gowda. Ma'am, first up, I know for a fact that we've seen a whole lot in terms of the protest that's happening on the ground itself. But the fact is that a lot of what the government has said today in terms of that Mr. J.P. Nadda is willing to meet the students at the office, as is Mr. Jitendra Singh, all of this has already happened in terms of the government already meeting these students, listening to their demands. One wonders if there's progress been made from there on, considering that it's the same offer that's been made to these students again. Whereas it almost seems like the government and the students are on very two different planes, because the students' demands, remember, are that the government meet them at a neutral location, that the education minister must resign. The government is not making any of those commitments yet, but is choosing to do something that's already been done, perhaps. How does this work out in terms of us moving forward from where we find ourselves at today? Dr. Lakshmi.
Thanks for having me here. Any statutory systems for that matter, must be analyzed based on their ability to undergo the structural resilience and their swift executive recourse rather than on the political sensationalism. When we are dealing with the public grievances, we must always focus on the outcome-based governance, systemic hardening, and protecting the legitimate rights of our citizens of our country. So based on these criteria, having fulfilled these criteria, our Honorable Prime Minister has come out with different and a few certain steps to curb this menace of leaking of the national examination paper. And he has even called this as a gore pop. A stringent punishment should be given to the perpetrators, and a stringent punishment of 10 years imprisonment should be imposed on those perpetrators. It is number one, zero tolerance. Our government has exhibited the zero tolerance for the perpetrators of this gore pop. Second one is creating installing or having in place the fast track courts to bring in the quick justice, to bring in the quick justice, to arrest the perpetrators and the kingpins of this national examination paper leaks. And rather than resorting to the multi-years judicial delays, having in place the fast track courts is the second step. Third step, and creating a foolproof mechanism and a high-level committee formation. So in order to, he has even called, even asserted that national examination leakage that has happened, the prevention of the national examination paper leak is a national responsibility. It is the responsibility of our nation. We need to prevent it. In order to prevent it, he mandated a complete overhaul to create a multi-layered and testing ecosystem in the entire country. And as a result of which, he has even constituted a high-level committee headed by none other than our former ISRO chief, Dr. Radhakrishnan, K. Radhakrishnan, that is in place. That is precisely why we brought into the system to erase this menace. And fourth
Thank
one,
you so much.
our government is completely 100% student friendly, and we are with the students of this country. And so we have also allowed the re-examination happen in the coordination with the state authorities to preserve the sanctity of the medical admissions timeline. These are all the steps our honorable Prime Minister has taken to curb the menace of examination paper leak.
Right. PM Modi has in fact, pledged to set up a fast-track court to punish those involved in the exam paper leaks. But this educational crisis right now is not the only crisis, that the country has been through. Generally, over the years, we have seen a cluster of simultaneous failures, including the curriculum. And the current crisis is, of course, the lack of the ability to conduct, fair examination. Meeta Sen Gupta, she's an educational strategist and also policy advisor. Ma'am, just wait for your turn. I just want to go to Meeta Sen Gupta over here. Help us understand, is this assurance enough?
Honestly, again, is this assurance enough is a political and a negotiation question. And the one thing that we know when we teach negotiation is no side should get positional. If you become positional, if you say, I am stuck on this and I am stuck on this, then it becomes an ego versus ego battle. That is bad negotiation strategy for sure. But that is up to the people who are playing the game of negotiation out there. And they have to realize that everyone will have to give way a little bit towards a common goal. Because the common goal for everybody over here very clearly is a more robust examination system. In basic teacher training, we are taught that an assessment is good only if it meets 4 criteria. You have to be reliable, timely, valid, and accurate. And we have seen a failure upon failure at the big system level. It is a massive operation. India is a huge country. And in order to deliver perfection, it is a very big ask for the country, and we have had to deliver it, and the country has to continue to deliver it. There is no choice over there. Where there is a little bit of a dissonance over here is we are mixing up our education, which consists of 3 parts. You have the learning system, which is the curriculum development and the content part of it. Content developers will understand that part. Then you have the assessment part of it. Now, assessment does not have a massive cadre. You have the JEE people who are in a little blob of their own, but we do not have anybody trained there's no masters of education in assessment. You do not have assessment trainees. You do not have an understanding of how to design a question. Nobody's doing degrees in how to design a question. Then there is the administration. So there is the content of assessment and there is the administration of assessment. And the administration of assessment is an exercise in massive operations management. It is possible to do that. Dharma Pictures, once their film gets released, the pirated version does not leak, but it does leak over there and then they clamp it down. These systems can never be 100% foolproof, but every time you have to play chore police and you have to keep on clamping down on the gaps. Now, here is the bind that the parties are in right now. The students are genuinely angry and upset because They're not just talking, you're right, they're not just talking about this exam. They are saying what happens to our futures. The NEET exam is a flashpoint because it is a high stakes exam. There is only one 3-hour thing and one 5-hour thing where all of your future is decided by that. For years, educationists have been saying create low stakes entry mechanisms into medical and every other profession. Have a 5-step process, have 4 exams a year, have 2 entries a year, create many more opportunities for success for the students. And that is a reform that our assessment specialists must consider. They had brought it in during COVID because of the pressures of COVID and the lockdown. Some of them have stayed in place, some of them have eased back to a 1 exam annually. There are other problems also over here, again in the administration and in the technology, in rushing through, because we are a generation, I have to say, with
Right,
this
Meeta.
generation,
No,
really
absolutely.
unfortunate.
And I get your point. The fact is there is a high stakes entry barrier, and that is really the big talking point today, which has caused so much discord on the ground insofar as NEET is concerned and the ongoing protests. In fact, let me get Syed Abbas in on this. Syed, going by what Meeta was saying, just given that the stakes are so high, one might only assume, and understandably so, that the punishment must also be as high stakes. I would presume that's why the students are saying either the education minister goes or we're not going to have a conversation at all. Do you feel that is a fair stance, or do you feel the CJP protesters and students should also perhaps give some ground in for things to move ahead? Syed.
Looking at the student movement, Shibani and Jude, I believe, there's this beautiful quote which summarizes it. When you do the most common things in life in the most uncommon way, you command the attention of the world. And this is exactly what has happened with the students' protest. Now look at the goalpost shifting here from the Modi government. The students are asking for a non-negotiable resignation of Dharmendra Pradhan. It starts to rot from the top. This is absolutely non-negotiable. But what is the Modi government doing? They are talking about the other people, the arrested ones or the accused ones or all of those. No, that's not what we are talking at. I believe today all these fast-track courts coming in to punish them, too little, too late. This should have been done much earlier, not after 30-day All India student protest. Let me tell you, Jude, what is happening is I'm broken today. Because look at the international media, the way it is looking at our beautiful country. The way Modi ji is being shown as a dictator, Tanasha, this is an absolute catastrophe for the brand India, for Indian government and the brand Modi. Why is it taking so much time for this Modi government to address these issues? Now see what has happened. I would say, all of us who had questions to these Gen Z generation, today I as a millennial is really looking at their audacity. When 4 hours were spent by them at JP Naddaji's office or residence, it was not addressed to. They were met only for 15 minutes and 4 hours they were kept there. But now they are on terms to even dictate the likes of those in power. This shows that the people in power are not supposed to be kept on top. They are public servants after all. They come into power with our vote. Now let us understand what are the conditions being laid out. Non-negotiable, number 1, Dharmendra Pradhan's resignation. Number 2, which needs to be there. Let us understand they're also speaking of something very important here.
Right.
And that is merely, just 30 seconds, please. Just merely those who are arrested, put them behind bars, fast track, all that is okay. But tomorrow there will be another minister who will come in from the BJP Modi government in place of Dharmendra Pradhan to tell you that this is a crown of thorns. This Game of Thrones should stop, and the one coming there will be a lot more accountable. वो डरेगा वो education minister बनने से पहले. So this is very, very important if we look at. So therefore, I am proud of the Gen Z generation today for showing even those in power that your power is not forever. In the words of BJP's greatest leader, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, sarkarein आएंगी जाएंगी, देश रहना चाहिए.
Desh rehna chahiye. Absolutely. On that note, I would like to interrupt because we are also joined in by Afreen Nawaz. She's a CJP spokesperson. Thank you so much for joining us today on ET Now. Now you started, speaking about the NEET paper leak and India's education system a couple of weeks ago. Afreen, help us understand the kind of steam it has gathered and how the country and the youth of the nation has responded to this movement. Now, did you expect it when you started it? And now that the government is ready to speak to you, is willing to do some accommodation, some adjustment, are they enough, or you are still going ahead and pushing for for the resignation of Dharmendra Pradhan?
Thank you for having me. I don't know if I'm audible to you guys, but it's the crowd what we have right now.
You are indeed.
Okay. So,
visuals coming in from the protest site for our viewers right there.
I'm at the protest site, and that's why I hardly can hear you. But I'm trying to connect.
If I'm audible, the question is, will you be willing really to now speak to the political establishment of the day? The BJP has renewed, the centre rather, the BJP-led centre has renewed their invitation to meet with Mr. JP Nadda, to meet with to meet with the establishment as well, Jitendra Singh as well, to actually go about speaking to you. Will you meet them halfway, or are you still holding firm to the demand that the Education Minister must resign, Afreen?
Holding firm with our demands. We did meet him, but then the outcome what we got, the whole world knows it, the whole country knows it. We want JP Nadda to meet us. We want the government to respond to us.
Right, let's go over to ma'am, Dr. Gowda over here. Now, Peter Elbers, in fact, after the entire Indigo fiasco happened in December, the entire operational crisis happened, resigned. We have seen UK, change Prime Minister, 7 of them over the course of past 10 years. What is discouraging you from the Education Minister to resign? Why is the Education Minister not stepping down at this point in time? Because that is the only demand now from the Cockroach Janata Party and the students.
The ethos and ethics of our party is not just about the party politics. It is beyond that. It is about the national interests and the development of the country. In that, about the welfare of the youth of the country, which is the major chunk of the population. As to differ with the Said Abbas statements about our Honorable Prime Minister, he is not castigated as a dictator in the World Forum. Rather, he has been felicitated with more than 34 civilian awards to his crown. And he has emerged as the voice of the global south and the global leader, the most acknowledged global leader for a sheer nationalistic interest, for a sheer developmental strategy, not about anything. Our political administrative system, ever since the Modi era, from the 2014, has been so much robust that it has always addressed all the administrative exigencies immediately, and we have never had any sort of scams regarding the resignation. I'll come to that point. Our statutory system has been so much resilient for any changes in that, and for any swift executive recourse. As Supreme Court has agreed that it is not a generalized incident, as there are local perpetrators, they should be punished and they should be brought to the justice, and the students should be brought to the justice. It's not a generalized incident, and it should not unnecessarily, it should not politically sensationalist.
We understand and we hear you. The fact is, I think this is the only conclusion we can draw from it. The students, the protesters, and the centre. Just a minute, ma'am. We're a little out of time, but we did hear you, the point you were making. The ethos of the BJP in the centre at this time and place is to not throw in the towel, not resign. But the fact remains that young India wants something very, very different. And until and unless there's some coming together of both these planes, I'm guessing there will be no forward movement. But on that note, ladies ladies, gentlemen, I'd like to thank you very much for joining us on this bulletin today, even as we had that all-important discussion. And on that note, we'll have to slip into a very short break, but we'll be back on the other side. Keep watching ET Now.